The remaining Covenant ships withdraw upward, regrouping for a coordinated descent. The Autumn slams into the ring world below. Fire blossoms across Halo's surface. Smoke spirals into the sky. Debris rains for kilometers. Sergeant Johnson climbs from a shattered troop bay, bruised, intact, swearing under his breath, exactly as he always does. Marines stagger out behind him. Warthogs are half buried in soil. Pelicans burn like torches across a fractured landscape none of them recognize. Vader stands in the Executor's hangar bay, silent, towering, presence razor-sharp with purpose. The only thing he has is experience and instinct. He boards a shuttle with a squad of StormTroopers. The landing is rough, but controlled, an angular plume of dirt thrown up as the shuttle digs skids into foreign soil. Halo's surface is alien to eyes that have only ever known metal, starships, and the choking artificial air of Imperial war machines. The sky is wrong. The horizon is bent. The geometry is too perfect. Vader registers none of it emotionally. He logs it the way a strategist logs terrain. Halo surface the first encounter. A Warthog engine growls through smoke. A small fire team moves cautiously along a ridge of broken earth, weapons sweeping arcs. Chief leads them motion disciplined, every movement the distilled training of a lifetime. Cortana catches the abnormal sensor readings first.
Chief, hold. Something's coming in low.
Chief raises a fist. The Marines freeze. Then they see it, a black shuttle, shape unfamiliar, hull scarred. It lands with mechanical precision. The ramp lowers. StormTroopers descend in formation, clean, white, alien. And then him. Vader steps onto the ringworld soil for the first time. Chief stands at full height, armor green, but scorched, visor blank and unflinching. 7 feet of Spartan steel facing a black monolith of armor and mechanics. Neither moves. Both assess. Cortana breaks the silence first flat, analytical.
Chief, that's not Covenant. And it's not human.
Vader stops, 10 meters out, close enough to show he's not hiding. Far enough to avoid being a target. His respirator echoes unnaturally loud in the open air.
Master Chief, level, controlled, identify yourself.
I am no enemy unless you force me to be.
His tone is not a warning. It's an equation. Cortana scans him subtle, cautious.
He's reading as biological, but heavily augmented. Tech profile is nothing like you, NSC or Covenant. Armor composition unknown. Sensors can't penetrate it.
Chief processes that instantly.
Your ship engaged Covenant forces. That makes you useful.
A Marine whispers behind him.
Sir, what is he?
Chief ignores it. Vader's head tilts slightly, almost imperceptibly, as he takes in the Spartan's posture, stance, reaction time, the efficiency of his weapon-ready position. Vader has spent a lifetime judging warriors. He knows immediately, this is no ordinary soldier.
You are enhanced, engineered, but not machine.
Human, unlike you.
Not an insult, just precision. Vader accepts it without reaction.
You fight the same enemy we do. That is enough.
Cortana flickers a hologram on Chief's wrist projector's small, blue, defensive posture.
You followed us from orbit. Why?
Vader doesn't lie. He doesn't embellish. He doesn't posture.
Your ship knew the battlefield. We did not.
Chief files that answer as truth until proven otherwise. A distant plasma detonation echoes across the landscape, Covenant dropships hitting the ring nearby. Chief turns toward the sound. MASTER-CHIEF. We're moving toward marine survivors and our objective. If you can keep up, fine. If you can't, stay out of the line of fire. StormTroopers tense, insulted. Vader doesn't react at all. He simply steps forward. Via DER, we proceed together. For now. Chief nods once. It is not trust. It is not alliance. It is pure battlefield pragmatism. And that is the moment on an alien ring under a broken sky that a Spartan and a Sith Lord march toward battle for the first time. Side by side. Not friends. Not enemies. Just two weapons pointed at the same threat. The surface of Halo. The ring's horizon curves like a lie. Even Vader registers it, unfamiliar geometry pressing at his senses, but he doesn't waste a thought on awe. His awareness is locked on John 117, evaluating mass, movement, posture. The Spartan is a walking violation of the Empire's assumptions about human limitations, and even Vader, hardened by cybernetics, battle, and the Force, recognizes the silhouette as something categorically different. We zoom into the helmet of TK 4219, a stormtrooper who knows he's not elite. No delusions of grandeur. He's infantry in a white coffin. Stormtrooper TK 4219 POV. He's standing behind the Dark Lord, like that's going to save him. Every second, his HUD glitches because the ring world emits some kind of unclassified radiation profile. The air smells too clean, like nature is mocking him. Then the ODST drop pods scream overhead. They aren't elegant like dropships. They're metal coffins hurled from the sky, each one a declaration that the people inside either don't fear death or have made peace with it. The pods strike the ground with seismic thuds. No repulsors, no guidance arrays, just brute physics. 4219's mind spirals. These maniacs volunteer to be shot out of cannons. Clones were bred to be fearless, but this is engineered insanity. The closest pod pops open. An ODCT climbs out, armor scorched from atmospheric entry. He doesn't hesitate, doesn't orient, doesn't form up. He just moves, efficient, predatory, scanning the terrain with a confidence no Imperial foot soldier could fake. TK 4219 tightens his grip on his E11, suddenly aware that his aim, his armor, even his nerve might not stack up here. And the Spartan, the tall one in green, is something else entirely. 4219 watches as John 117 stands beside Vader. An ODST might unsettle a trooper. The Spartan annihilates his entire sense of scale. The armor looks like it was carved from a tank. The visor gives away nothing. The posture is cold, calculating, entirely sure of its superiority. 4219 feels like a child watching giants argue. OD's TPOV. Corporal Rourke, hits the ground hard, every bone rattled, every nerve blazing. Perfect. Normal. This is what comfort feels like to an ODST. His pod opens, and he sees what the hell are they. StormTroopers in glossy white armor, standing too close to some black armored officer who radiates menace like it's an oxygen field. They're huddled tight, weapons up, but hands uneasy. Rourke sizes them instantly. They're green. Not color green, experience green. Their stance screams academy, not battlefield. Then his visor locks onto the tall black figure. The sensors don't identify the armor type. It's not Covenant, not UNSC, not even classified OpenAI Black Ops. Something else. The guy radiates a kind of pressure, not physical, not visible, but unmistakable. It prickles the skin under Rourke's armor. But then he sees the chief. And everything snaps back to familiar territory. If the walking nightmare in black is a thunderhead, John 117 is a mountain. Unmoving, indifferent to weather. Cortana perched in his armor like a loaded weapon with a personality. Rourke notes how the black armored figure studies the chief. It isn't curiosity, it's threat assessment. And the chief is giving it right back, unflinching. The StormTroopers, they look like they're praying no one asks them to actually fight today. Vader steps forward, cape sweeping the alien grass. "You are enhanced," he says to Chief. Yet, not machine, not droid, not construct. Chief doesn't flinch. Spartan 117. UNSC. You're trespassing on an active war zone. Identify yourself. Cortana's voice whispers through his armor speaker, crisp, focused, already dissecting Vader's armor systems, breathing patterns, heat signatures. His life support is integrated, cybernetics extensive, power output unusually high, and whatever's augmenting his physicality isn't tech we know. Vader tilts his head at the voice. Your intelligence construct is perceptive. Cortana fires back, tone sharp as a knife. I'm not a construct. I'm smarter than your entire ship's computer core. The StormTroopers stiffen at the insolence. The ODST snorts behind his visor. The Covenant's arrival detonates above them, plasma fire streaking the sky, dropships descending in sharp, sleek formations. Chief immediately pivots toward the incoming phantoms. Vader senses hostility in the air, raw and alien. He doesn't trust the UNSC, but he recognizes a battlefield truth. Alignment of interests is stronger than diplomacy. We clear the landing zone, Chief says, already chambering a fresh magazine. We destroy any who oppose us, Vader answers. 2 soldiers from 2 universes. Neither bows. Neither breaks. Both ready to kill anything threatening their people, even if they aren't sure whether they'll turn those weapons on each other after. The Covenant touched down. The Ringworld prepares to write its next chapter. TK 4219 had never seen aliens that mattered before. Sure, the Empire had its token non-human officers, a few species scattered across the Outer Rim, the political mascots allowed to exist so long as they didn't challenge Imperial dominance. But the Empire's real enemies, the rebels, were humans. Average, predictable, weak humans. The universe had told him over and over again that humanity was the apex predator. Halo shattered that fantasy in a single encounter. Plasma hits the ground 20 meters ahead, melting stone and curling grass into ash. The air warps. His armor alarm shrieks a warning about thermal penetration. He's never seen a weapon do that without being mounted on a vehicle. Then the Covenant infantry push through the smoke. Elites first. 7 feet of muscle, mandibles flaring, armor glowing with an energy system his HUD doesn't recognize. They move like predators, not soldiers, fluid, confident, as if battle is just another natural state. TK 4219 freezes. Their size alone is a violation of nature. His aim flickers from elite to elite because he can't decide which one is the real threat. The ODST at his side doesn't hesitate. 3-round burst to the nearest elite's shields. It barely staggers him. The stormtrooper fires too late, too wide. His blaster bolts splash against the elite's energy shield, which ripples violet and stays upright. He can feel the alien laughing at him without making a sound. Then he hears it, a massive wall of fur and armor plating, impossibly fast. Imperial doctrine has no page for this. There are no formations, no tactics, no training vids that prepare you for something that looks like it could tear apart an TST with its hands. The brute grabs an ODST by the torso, tears him in half, and throws him like a toy. TK 4219 stomach drops. This isn't war. This is a food chain. John 117 hits the brute first. He moves with mechanical certainty, angles, momentum, flawless economy of movement. His MA5 rifles hums through a full burst, carving into the brute's shields. The brute swings back with a gravity hammer that shakes the soil. The Spartan blocks the haft with his forearm. The shield on his armor flares, but holds. Vader enters the fight like a dark vacuum collapsing in on itself. He doesn't announce, doesn't posture. He simply gestures, and the brute lifting his hammer suddenly rockets sideways, its massive bulk smashed into a boulder hard enough to crack bone. The elites split formation instantly, focusing on Vader. Their plasma fire saturates the area around him, but something invisible bends the shots away in curved arcs. TK 4219 watches plasma bolts veer off course, refracting like heat mirages. The elites hesitate. The trooper can't blame them. The grunts are worse than expected, skittering, squealing, firing needlers that track erratic paths before burying themselves in flesh. When the first stormtrooper gets caught by a needle cluster, TK 4219 watches in horror as the shards detonate, ripping armor apart from the inside. He finally understands why the UNSC doesn't treat these things like comic relief. Then the jackals. Shields, shimmering, eyes calculating. When they fire, they aim not randomly, not in suppressive patterns, they hunt. A stormtrooper to his right takes a plasma bolt to the chest. It melts through plastoid, through fabric, into rib, lung, blood. The man collapses, gasping, armor steaming. Another trooper screams for a medic who doesn't exist. TK 4219 fires back, methodical now, not panicked. He's adapting, watching the ODST and mimicking their rhythm. His rifle overheats faster in the atmosphere here, but he compensates. He drops a grunt. For a moment, one heartbeat, he feels competent again. Then an elite charges. 7.5 feet of warrior god fury. Its energy sword ignites with a ghostly hum, bathing the trooper's armor in blue light. TK 4219's brain goes blank. There is no courage for this scenario. No human instinct is built to face a monster that could bisect him like paper. The elite swings, and a green gauntlet blocks the blade. The Spartan, the chief. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't look back. He just intercepts the strike and shoots the elite point blank in its jaw, sending mandibles and shield sparks flying. Vader finishes the elite with a gesture that crushes its windpipe inside its armor. The mix of efficiency and brutality makes TK-4219's stomach twist. These two, Chief and Vader, fight from opposite philosophies, but the result is the same. They make impossible seem routine. TK-4219 steadies his rifle, breath shallow, hands shaking. He isn't fighting beside clones or conscripts or stormtroopers. He is fighting beside legends. One forged by UNSC desperation. One forged by Sith cruelty and willpower. And he feels terrifyingly like the weakest organism in a battlefield governed by gods and monsters. Ahead, more Covenant phantoms descend, their bay doors opening like gaping maws. TK-4219 whispers into his comm, "Sir, how do we fight these things?" An ODST hears him and answers with grim humor. "You don't. You survive them. That's the job." TK-4219 learned something fast. The Covenant didn't escalate. They arrived, fully, violently, with their entire evolutionary history screaming in your face. The push toward the stranded UNSC squad wasn't a march so much as a knife fight with geography. Every 50 meters brought another volley of plasma, or another new alien that broke some biological rule. And then the ground shook. Not a metaphor. Not, it felt like, actual tectonic bass impact tremors rolling through the soil. The ODST on point lifted 2 fingers silent signal. New heavy contact. TK-4219 peeked past the fallen log they'd taken cover behind. 2 shadows moved through the clearing. Gigantic armored silhouettes 8, maybe 9 feet tall, plated like starship hulls, carrying shields large enough to use as cover for an entire fire team. Covenant hunters. He'd never seen anything like them. No joints, no gaps, no weak point. Just a walking myth, wearing military hardware. The chief instinctively adjusted stance. TK-4219 noted that tiny shift. The Spartan only did that for things capable of killing him. Vader's presence went cold and still, not afraid, calculating. The hunters stopped. One slammed its massive shield down, anchoring itself. The other leveled its fuel rod cannon, its orange eye glowing hotter. TK-4219 felt the warning instinct of ancient humans staring down a predator on the savannah. "Emperor, save us." The ODST beside him smacked his helmet. "Wrong galaxy. Move." The first hunter fired. It wasn't a shot. It was an artillery shell with opinions. The bolt vaporized a speeder bike and boulder, showering the squad in molten debris. A stormtrooper took a shard to the leg and dropped screaming. TK-4219 dragged him behind cover while plasma hissed around them. Chief moved first, sprinting toward the nearest ridge to flank. Vader didn't sprint. He walked, slow, deliberate. The Force bent incoming bolts away, but even that familiar rhythm was strained. Hunters packed enough kinetic force to overwhelm even his defenses if he misjudged distance or timing. The ODST called it immediately. "Pull back 10 meters. We're not cracking them head on." They weren't retreating. They were surviving. Difference mattered. The squad fell back by bounding teams of DST Marines, stormtroopers mixing instinctively, not perfectly, but well enough to stay alive. The hunters advanced step by step, shields up, firing, arcs narrowing. TK 4219's breath rattled in his helmet. "This is insane," he muttered. "These things we need armor. We need—" "Kid," the ODST growled, "you have armor. It's just the wrong kind." Chief hit the ridge and opened with controlled bursts aimed at the exposed orange worms beneath their armor plates. The hunter recoiled but did not fall. Vader pushed with the force harder this time, and the second hunter staggered half a step, only half, as if resisting him by sheer alien weight and unified will. The StormTroopers tried flanking fire. Their blaster bolts did burn the exposed Lekolo, but not fast enough to matter. The ODST threw a frag. It detonated against a hunter's shield. The hunter didn't even flinch. "We need to MOVE," the ODST barked. Covenant phantoms screamed overhead reinforcements inbound, dropping brutes and elites to encircle. The battlefield was tilting toward catastrophe. Vader sensed it first. His voice cut through chaos, filtered by a helmet that brooked no argument. "Fall back." Chief heard it, weighed the situation, and nodded once. "Affirmative. Regroup North Canyon. Go." TK 4219 didn't need telling twice. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean. It was real. StormTroopers fired backward as they ran. Olsts laid suppressive bursts with clinical efficiency. Marines dragged wounded. Chief covered their flank with grenade placements. Vader walked last, absorbing, redirecting, controlling the flow of fire like an invisible dam holding back a burning river. The hunters didn't give chase. Hunters didn't rush. They advanced at a steady pace, certain as gravity, firing as they came. TK 4219 realized something terrifying. The Covenant didn't treat them like enemies. They treated them like prey trying to escape. They found the stranded Marines, and ODST dug into a fallen structure, a half-collapsed Forerunner ruin, with just enough cover to be defensible. The Marines froze when they saw Vader and StormTroopers enter formation with their own. 1,000 unspoken questions hung in the air. Chief broke the silence. "They're with us." The UNSC Marines accepted it instantly, not out of trust, but because the Covenant were setting up positions 300 meters out and survival beat philosophy. TK 4219 sank behind a stone barricade, his hands shaking so hard he had to lock his rifle against his chest plate. An ODST knelt beside him, checking his magazine count without asking. "You held up," the ODST said. "I almost died. Everyone almost died. That's how Halo works." TK 4219 looked back toward the tree line where blue and orange lights flickered. "Are hunters always like that?" "No," the ODST said. "Sometimes they're worse." TK 7743 had trained for every conventional battlefield the Empire had ever documented: urban warfare, trench engagements, insurgent suppression, anti-armor formations, jungle clearance. Imperial doctrine drilled into him that war was a matter of discipline, combined arms, and overwhelming firepower. Halo made all of that look like childish optimism. The landscape was wrong from the start. Metal where soil shouldn't be. Geometry that looked grown, not built. Horizon curves that implied a world bent in the wrong direction. But the real nightmare rolled over the ridge and began shelling them. The first Wraith shot. The Wraith didn't fire. It sang a deep bass hum that vibrated through bone, a heartbeat, before the plasma mortar arced overhead like a miniature sun. The detonation threw TK 7743 off his feet. His HUD went white, static. Armor systems screamed overload. When vision returned, he saw 2 stormtroopers on the ground, one moving, one not, both armor plates dripping molten residue. What was that? He gasped. An ODST dragged him behind a smashed boulder. Wraith, the ODST replied. Mobile plasma artillery tank. Big, slow, mean. Don't get hit again. The ODST said it like you'd say, don't fall into a volcano. Another mortar screamed in. The ground turned to glass where it landed. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a hostile physics demonstration. A pack of ghosts swept down the slope, sleek, hovering contraptions, piloted by elites, plasma cannons pulsing in tight barrages. Stormtrooper blasters were accurate against infantry. Against a ghost weaving through air at 40 kilometers per hour? Might as well shoot hopes and prayers. One trooper fired full auto in panic. The ghost strafed, plasma bolts slicing through plastoid plate like butter. The man fell, armor smoldering. TK 7743 cursed and switched to kneeling stance, firing calculated bursts, trying to hit the pilot's exposed flanks. The odds moved like predators, sidestepping, rolling to cover, laying down precise suppressive fire. They didn't waste shots. They didn't flinch. They knew this enemy. They'd survived this enemy. TK 7743 followed their lead because the alternative was death. A ghost veered too close, taking a misjudged angle around a boulder. An ODST slammed a grenade into its undercarriage as it skimmed past. The explosion sent the vehicle cartwheeling into a tree, snapping the trunk like a twig. That, the ODST said, catching his breath, is how you kill a ghost. TK 7743 filed the tactic away. It felt like taking notes during a tornado. Elites, not a few, a line of them. They charged down the slope with a war cry that didn't translate in any Imperial database. Purple energy shields flickered. Plasma rifles blazed. Stormtrooper armor wasn't rated for this. A plasma bolt hit TK 7743's shoulder plate, melting plastoid instantly. Pain flared as raw heat licked his skin. He stumbled behind cover. Medic, medic. Another stormtrooper shouted. There is no medic. An ODST yelled back. Just shoot or die. TK 7743 almost froze until an ODST shoved him hard. Helmet down. Move your ass. Instinct saved him. Training saved him. Fear saved him most of all. A shadow troop carrier drifted in from the right flank, dropping a team of brutes armed with spikers and brute shots. The ground team split instinctively. Then the brutes charged. Big ones are mine. An ODST barked. I'd prefer they weren't anyone's. TK 7743 shot back, adrenaline overriding protocol. A brute fired a spike burst that embedded in the cover he hid behind razored metal quills, humming with kinetic vibration. Another wraith shot detonated behind them, throwing dirt and soldiers into the air. A burning Marine tumbled past, screaming. The Covenant weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to erase. TK 7743 watched ODSTs coordinate counterfire. Stormtroopers forming firing lines that cracked and reformed under pressure. UNSC Marines dragging wounded without breaking stride. The alliance was messy, improvised, desperate, but it held. Fall back to the Forerunner structure. The ODST squad leader ordered. Controlled withdrawal. Keep spacing. Keep fire on their advance. This isn't a retreat, the ODST barked. This is staying alive. TK 7743 grabbed the nearest wounded trooper, hauled him up. Move. Move now. Ghosts strafed behind them. Meadler rounds exploded in showers of crystalline shrapnel. Plasma arcs sizzled against armor. TK 7743 ran through hell, lungs burning, vision blurring, mind screaming. He had stormed rebel bases. He had fought Wookiees. He had battled insurgents in alleyways so tight you could smell fear in the mortar. Nothing compared to this. Nothing came close. Forerunner structure loomed ahead, angular, alien, humming faintly. Marines inside opened fire to cover their approach. As TK 7743 sprinted, a hunter's fuel rod blast hit behind him, throwing bodies like ragdolls. He didn't look back. He dove into cover, breathing hard, hands shaking. A Marine slapped a new magazine into his rifle. An ODST sat down beside him, panting. Another StormTrooper limped in, armor scorched. TK 7743 stared back at the battlefield, feeling his heart try to escape his chest. These things, he whispered, this enemy, how do you fight something like that? The ODST didn't look at him. He just checked the barrel of his rifle and said, "You don't out-muscle the Covenant. You outlast them." TK 7743 wasn't sure that was possible. But he was still alive. And on Halo, that counted as a victory. The air tastes like powdered glass. TK 4218 pushes his chin deeper into the helmet's sweat-soaked padding as the Wraith's plasma mortar detonates somewhere behind him. The concussion hits through the soil, one brutal, rising wave that slams his ribs. He doesn't break stride. Nobody does. The odds aren't stopping, so the StormTroopers aren't either. The valley is a half-bowl of alien stone and scorched vegetation. The ring's sky curves overhead in its impossible arc horizon, rising upward instead of down. But the thing that keeps his pulse hammering isn't the alien geometry. It's the Covenant armor lines pushing through the smoke. Grunts first, dozens of them, shrieking, methane masks glinting in the harsh violet light of another Wraith shot. Behind them, jackals advance in shield over shield phalanxes. And above and behind those, lumbering like scaled siege towers, are the brutes. Taller than anything in the Empire's bestiary, every one of them built like someone hybridized a gladiator with a freight droid. The ODST sergeant barks, Wraiths bracketing left. Eyes up. TK 4218 lifts his E11, fires short. Discipline bursts at the advancing grunts. He's fought rebels before, scrappy, clever, improvisational. But nothing in the galaxy he came from prepared him for enemies that simply don't care about dying. Grunts drop, their bodies collapsing in little flailing heaps, yet the wave doesn't slow. Why don't they break? He mutters. The ODST beside him, helmet painted with a crude shark grin, jerks a thumb toward the towering brute captains. Because those ugly bastards will rip them apart if they do, the battlefield snarls. A ghost skims into view, plasma cannons cutting neon arcs through the dirt. The StormTroopers scatter, firing back. The Otsts move with terrifying precision, like they were born in gravity wells made entirely of gunfire. The ghost swings back, then dies in a spray of debris as one of the StormTrooper portable missile launchers lands a miracle hit. The pilot tumbles out, limbs twitching. "Push!" Shark Grin yells, before reinforcements hit. They surge, and for a half second, TK 4218 thinks maybe the momentum is turning their way. Then the ground shakes. Hunters, twin pairs, bonded, orange cores pulsing like slow heartbeats beneath their armor plates. Each step is a hammer blow. Their shields sweep out with the same casual inevitability as a tide. TK 4218's throat tightens. "They're walking tanks," he whispers. "You should see them when they're angry," the ODST answers. The hunters fire. The fuel rod blasts roar across the slope. A StormTrooper disappears in a green eruption that leaves molten shards of armor raining down. "Fall back." Controlled fallback. An ODST lieutenant shouts. The humans pivot, disciplined, but the Covenant press harder. Plasma bolts cut through the air like burning hail. StormTroopers go down, one screaming, one silent. TK 4218 fires until his power pack overheats, tossing it aside, slamming in another. His hands shake, and he hates it, hates how obvious fear feels inside armor that was supposed to make him more than he is. Another explosion. Dirt rains down. His visor cracks at the edge. They break deeper into the valley's rocky spines. But the Covenant are gaining. Jackals scale the rocks with unnerving speed, firing down from elevation. The Osts punch back. The lines are fraying. Then TK 4218 hears a hiss. It's soft, almost nothing. His HUD flickers. Something shimmers to his left. He turns. A Zealot Elite materializes mid-lunge, cloak peeling off its body in ripples of distorted light. 7+ feet of muscle, mandibles flared in a predator's snarl. Its energy sword ignites one vertical beam of lethal geometry. TK 4218 doesn't even get his blaster fully raised. The Elite grabs him by the torso plate's strength, monstrous, casual, and lifts him off the ground like he weighs nothing. The last thing he feels is the heat of the plasma blade punching through the chest panel and into the organs beneath. No drama. No grand speech. No time. The blade retracts. He drops like discarded machinery. Another StormTrooper, TK 4473, sees it happen through drifting smoke. The Zealot stands over his friend's body, sword humming, armor rippling back into active camouflage. TK 4473's stomach clenches hard enough to hurt. Contact left. "Zealot," he screams, voice cracking. But the Zealot is already gone, just a faint shimmer in the haze, like a nightmare slipping behind a curtain. The Osts shift formation instantly. Shark Grin curses. Stealth killers. Great, fantastic. Everyone bunch up. Nobody wanders. We're not dying out here alone. The Covenant tighten the ring around them. The terrain funnels the humans into a narrow corridor of rock and broken metal. Plasma fire rains. Hunters advance. Brutes howl commands. TK 4473 looks down at TK 4218's body still smoking, armor still hissing from the heat of the sword, and the reality hits cold and heavy as gravity. They're not fighting a rebellion. They're not fighting for order. They're fighting an alien war, centuries older and infinitely more vicious than anything in Imperial memory. And the Empire has no doctrine for this, no briefing, no comfort. Just survival. And the survival odds are falling. Fast. The corridor ahead darkens as more Covenant appear. The squad braces themselves, and the battle continues in the dirt and fire of a ring they do not yet understand. The ring keeps spinning under their boots, this impossible megastructure humming like a wounded god, and the war drags every living thing across its surface, whether they're ready or not. Let's anchor into the stormtrooper who just watched his squad mate get butchered by that zealot. Call him TK 4217. He's lying behind a slab of alien stone, chest plate scored by plasma, lungs working like cracked bellows. The soundscape around him is a blender of species, doctrines, and technologies none of these soldiers were trained for. He's aware enough to register three things at once. The zealot is dragging the corpse of his friend away like a trophy. The ODST next to him is calmly reloading, as if this is a routine Tuesday. The horizon south of them erupts with a string of fireballs, TIE fighters, and banshees ripping each other apart. A voice crackles through his helmet. UNSC frequency they're piggybacking on. Johnson and Keyes entering substructure, unknown Covenant pursuit, autumn wreck site compromised. That's the kind of news that sours morale. If command vanishes into a hole in the world, everyone left topside becomes a ghost waiting on orders that won't come. The fight is worsening, and TK 4217 knows it. A phantom gunship sweeps overhead, side cannons pulsing violet beams that carve trenches through soil and armor. A TIE/N screams in from the right, rips the Phantom open with a textbook strafing run, then eats a fuel rod to the cockpit on the way out. The TIE corkscrews into a warthog the stormtroopers have been using as a makeshift ammo dump. The explosion throws TK sideways and showers everything in burning fragments. He hears an ODST sergeant barking. Spartans are South Ridge. Vader's squad pushing East Canyon. Covenant armor massing on your 12 MOVE. Even in the chaos, Vader and the Chief have become mythic points of reference. The stories ripple across comms. Vader cutting a wraith open with nothing but that blazing blade, the Spartan lifting a brute off its feet and snapping its spine, both carving a corridor through forces that should have been mathematically impossible to break. To the stormtroopers, these stories feel like a gut punch, half hope, half humiliation. They were supposed to be the elite. Instead, they're struggling to survive against combatants twice their height and with weapons that melt armor like candle wax. A plasma mortar arcs in, landing too close. TK's visor blacks out for a second. He blinks away diagnostics, pushes himself to his knees. Another stormtrooper grabs his pauldron. TK 2981, last one left from second squad. You saw it, didn't you? 2981 shouts. That elite, what it did to Weller. TK nods, jaw clenched. The image is burned into him. Weller lifted like a child, throat opened, dropped in the dirt. We need to fall back to the ridge. 2981 yells. ODST, say there's a rally point. Really points a death trap. ODST replies, chucking a frag. Covenant armors pushing from west. We cut north, or we get glassed. Then the ground shakes the kind of vibration that cuts straight through bone. A hunter pair charges into view, metal blue behemoths wading through fire like it's rain. A beam rifle shot clips one of them, barely annoying it. TK 4217 and 2,981 open fire out of raw instinct. Their blasters splash useless red flashes against the hunter's plating. The ODST sergeant orders the only rational move, RETROGR, a DENOW. It's a retreat by every definition except the one soldiers will admit. They sprint across broken terrain. Overhead, another TIE fighter drops low. One Banshee loops behind it, spits plasma into its engines. The TIE plummets smoking into the canyon, detonating hard enough to knock TK flat again. He crawls behind a rock, blinking away the ringing in his skull. And that's when he feels it. A shimmer, a distortion. Active camouflage. He barely twists in time. The elite zealot that killed Weller uncloaks above him, jaws parted in something that isn't quite a smile. The energy sword hisses alive, heat washing over TK's faceplate. He fires point-blank 3 shots, 5-10. The bolts flicker against shields that don't care. The sword punches through his chest. He feels himself leaving his own body, surprised by how quiet death actually sounds. For a stormtrooper raised in a galaxy drowning in war, fear is an old companion. But this moment is strangely calm. The zealot yanks the blade free. From behind, TK 2981 sees the entire thing. And grief isn't what hits him. Rage is. Pure and simple. The kind that cuts through doctrine and fear and the lifetime of conditioning that told him to suppress emotion. He screams TK 4217's name and unloads everything he has, driving forward because stopping means thinking, and thinking means breaking. Oughts pull him back before the zealot can finish him too. A phantom drops in to reinforce the elite, forcing the human troops to scatter. As the survivors fall back toward the ridge, every comm channel buzzes with overlapping chaos. Covenant deploying Scarab-class walker at the crash site. Repeat, Scarab Vader. Requesting armored support, North Valley Spartan 117. Sighted engaging Brute's West Sector keys, and Johnson confirmed entering deep structure lost contact. The ring is becoming a labyrinth of simultaneous crises. And every soldier's stormtrooper, ODST Marine, can feel the war tightening its grip. None of them know what's waiting below the surface, where Johnson and Keyes just disappeared. But they all know one truth. The ring is not done with them. The descent into the Halo's underbelly hits like a pressure change in the soul. Every step Keyes takes feels swallowed by the architecture, like the ring is listening, considering, cataloging. He doesn't show it. Keyes is a professional to the bone, but the 3 stormtroopers stuck to him like burrs, TK 3274, TK 7609, and a rookie called Marin, have no idea how unsettling this place really is. They only know that following Keyes and Johnson feels safer than staying alone in the tunnels. Truth is, none of them are safe. The air changes first. A metallic tang. A faint ozone bite. Johnson lifts his assault rifle slightly, eyes squinting the way they do when he smells trouble. Feel that? He mutters. Yeah, Kais answers softly. This place isn't just a structure. It's a system. TK 3274 adjusts his E11 blaster. Commander, you said this thing is artificial. Who built it? Keyes doesn't sugarcoat, never has. We don't know yet. But they didn't build small. Johnson adds with a dry chuckle. You folks build moons, battle stations, the size of cities. This ring makes all that look like somebody's backyard project. TK 7609 scans the shadows. We've seen megastructures. Nothing feels like this. It's quiet. It's the wrong kind of quiet, Marin mutters. They walk deeper. The lighting isn't light, it's glow. Lines in the walls pulse with soft blue patterns, like veins under skin. The ceiling sweeps up into impossible geometry, the kind of angles that make human eyes want to misinterpret them. This is where the fear starts to feel earned. One corridor widens into a cavernous chamber. It drops off into a spiral of ramps and gravity lifts. Kais feels his stomach twist, not from vertigo, but from cognition. This is a place built by something that thought on scales humans can't replicate. Johnson whispers, "This ain't a Covenant build." "No," Kai says. "This place is older." Nobody speaks for a stretch. Their boots echo in a way that sounds too much like footsteps behind them, except no one is there. The StormTroopers are whispering among themselves. Commander, TK 3274 asks, "Your Marines mentioned monsters on this ring. Some kind of ancient threat?" Speculation, keys, lies cleanly. Right now, our only confirmed threat is the Covenant. Nothing more. Johnson glances at him, knows the truth is heavier, smells Key's fear, like smoke, but he doesn't challenge it. Then the temperature shifts again. A flicker of light at the far end of the chamber. Small, hovering, blue-white, like a drifting will-o'-the-wisp. The StormTroopers lock their weapons on instinct. Keys lifts a hand, motioning them down, not because it isn't a threat, but because shooting might be the worst possible idea. The orb drifts with deliberate curiosity, tracing a lazy arc through the upper walkway. It has an iris-like aperture on its faceplate, blinking like a mechanical pupil. Watching them, studying. "Johnson," Keys murmurs, "you seeing this?" TK 7609 whispers, "Is it Covenant tech?" Kais shakes his head. "No, they wouldn't build something like that. Too elegant, too alien." The orb pauses, tilts, as if listening. Then it flickers away behind a column and disappears with casual disinterest, like it already got what it came for. A chill rolls through the squad that no one mentions aloud. Commander, TK 3274 says, voice brittle, "Should we follow it?" Johnson snorts. "Hell no. You don't follow something like that unless you want to end up mounted on a wall somewhere." Kais focuses, pulls the team forward. Their time is bleeding out. The Covenant are on the surface, swarming. Johnson's gut keeps tightening. He knows something down here is wrong on a level he can't articulate yet. "We keep to the objective," Keys orders. "We find the truth behind this structure, get intel back to command, and get out alive." "Alive works for me," Johnson mutters. The tunnels constrict. Lights dim. Their shadows stretch long and distorted across floor tiles that shimmer faintly with hard-forged age. The StormTroopers keep glancing behind them, not because they're afraid of the Covenant, but because something about this place makes them feel observed, examined. A distant clatter echoes from somewhere far below. Not Covenant, not machinery. Something organic, wrong. Keys stops. "Stay alert," he says, voice low. "And no matter what you think you hear, you don't wander. You don't split up." Johnson rests a hand on his shotgun. "Commander, whatever this place is hiding, it ain't friendly." He nods, jaw tight. "Then let's hope it isn't awake yet." They move deeper into the Halo's throat, unaware that the monitor has already begun its calculations, and that the ring is quietly preparing for the next phase. The descent becomes a dirge. The Forerunner corridors tighten into a maze of ribbed metal and cold air currents, the kind of layout built not to welcome travelers, but to funnel them. Keys can feel it. This place isn't merely underground. It's a vault designed to keep something in, not out. He doesn't say that aloud. A commander knows when truth is poison. The surviving stormtroopers, TK 3274, TK 7609, Marin move with him and Johnson through increasingly narrow passageways. Their blasters stay trained on the darkness, as if that alone will keep it from chewing them alive. The lights dim again. The floor slopes downward. A distant thump echoes through stone, organic, heavy, wet. Johnson's jaw tightens around the cigarette.